Та бүхэнд өнөөдрийн мэндийг хүргье. Expo 2020
to all the participants. So we're ready to start the third panel discussion, and my name is Bill Goon. I'm a head of Mongolian Agency for Standardization and Metrology. Allow me to introduce the speakers of the session. Now, the session, allow me to invite Dr. Bernarda Casadilas-Sarmiento, Managing Director of Directorate of Digitalization Technology and Agribusiness of UNIDA. The second speaker is Veterinary Certification and Traceability System, Mr. Batsukh, Director of Veterinary Hygiene and Assurance Department, General Authority for Veterinary Services. The third speaker is Mr. Marco Ferri, Deputy Head of Delegation of the European Union to Mongolia, who will speak on requirements for food export to the EU countries. The fourth speaker is Mr. Song Hyojin, the Counselor for Trade and Economics of the Embassy of the People's Republic of China, who will speak on creation and opportunity on enhancing bilateral trade and economic cooperation between Mongolia and China. And the last speaker is Dr. Arizon Aihara, who represents the Japanese food and agricultural products, consumer needs, and who will speak on consumer needs and supply chain in Japan. So, and also I would like to introduce Ms. Ang Tuya, who is an auditor of Mach Market. Now, so the next person who participates in the panel discussion is Mr. Don Dorch, Director of the Light Industry Policy Implementation Coordination Department and Minister of Food, Agriculture and Light Industry. Mr. Ali Badernech, Chief of Sustainable Food System Division, Agribusiness Development Department, UNIDA. The next person is Dashnim Jargal, Head of Export, Import and Border Quarantine Inspection Department of the General Agency for Specialized Inspection. Mr. Aaron Bott, Executive Director of Mongolian Agricultural Commodity Exchange, and Ms. Altan Tuya, Customs Officer of the Customs Control and Enforcement Department of Mongolian Customs General Administration.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so pleased and honored to be here today in the Export Mongolia 2020 International Virtual Forum, the Expo. And I will have a presentation on quality and standards for exports. UNIDO has been working for many years in Mongolia, and in this regard, we have our experience to share. But before, let's share the experience, what happened with COVID-19. We are still undergoing the COVID-19 pandemic, and since the global outbreak, what we are seeing is that the pandemic has accelerated digital transformation. We all went virtual, we went into the cyberspace, but also something very interesting happened in this pandemic. At the early stage already, we saw that in COVID-19 brought about a very strong relevance for standards and quality infrastructure. Standards came out of the shadow. It has become very relevant for people, planet, and prosperity. In UNIDO, we did an analysis, and I will not pretend that you can see the slides here, but we did by each of the SDGs, and we finalized and found that it is really relating to health, education, food, energy, water, obviously SDG 9 on industrialization and innovation, but also on planet, medical waste, a number of issues that relate to what is required. And finally, the call for a multilateral system, the call for solidarity, the call for more partnership. And what is our summary is quality infrastructure and standards and conformity assessment are and will be the core of the new normal. In a perspective, quality infrastructure, UNIDO has an approach for sustainable QI development, which is related to be systemic, holistic, but especially demand-driven. Here in this graph, you see the several elements. The first is governance, quality infrastructure institutions, the services related to quality infrastructure, but very important, the demand comes from the enterprises and ultimately comes from the consumers. In quality infrastructure development, we distinguish a couple of phases. In the first phase, we had the standards body very centrally working on metrology, on testing, on standardization, and this we call the phase one of QI development. On the second phase, however, this started to change. Accreditation started to be highlighted, it started to be more prominent, conformity assessment started to be seen more as a service, commercial entity started to work on calibration, verification, and quality promotion started to be very important. Under phase three, we saw that it is important to engage with the enterprises, with the consumers especially in relation to the legal framework, the enterprises for their value chain development, for their enterprise upgrading. We saw also that it is important to have a QI development along value chains. While it is important to have a solid foundation of quality infrastructure, when it comes to action, we have to do it along specific value chains, be it leather, be it textile, whatever you want to work on, it has to be much more targeted. UNIDO has been working in trying to have a system, a rethinking of quality infrastructure, related it much more to the SDGs, and related not only to economic development, but also to people, to planet, and to prosperity, because we have new societal demands, including gender equality, circular economy, but also the new requirements of a rapid and accelerated technical revolution. The fourth industrial revolution, digital transformation is central there, and we have tried to show that quality infrastructure serves all this other bigger picture. UNIDO has been in Mongolia for some years, I mentioned it already, and I would like to review some of our experience there. First of all, to recognize that standardization in Mongolia has a long history, over 90 years where standardization has already been happening in Mongolia, in all the country, many branches in the different provinces, and it was coming more from a government, a regulatory agent perspective to develop standards, to regulate the markets, to regulate domestic and foreign products, but also to increase them smoothly towards matching them to international development. In standardization, there is the Mongolian MASM, with which we have been working today, 6,500 plus standards, which include several ghost standards from the old Soviet system. Also to highlight, MAS has achieved accreditation, certification according to 9001, 40,001, and also it is the focal point and inquiry point for the WTO. It coordinates all the TBT agreements, and it has 420 staff. Standardization is governed in Mongolia through the Standardization Technical Regulation and Conformity Assessment amended in 2017. I don't pretend to lecture about how it is, but we have an organization that is solid, that is very much mature, and is providing excellent services all over the country. In metrology, MASM has become an associate member of GCPM, BIPM, since 2013. UNIDO has worked a lot with that. A total of 16 mass calibration measurements from Mongolia are recognized worldwide, and MASM is in the Central Geological Laboratory of Mongolia, are the full members of the Asian Pacific Metrology Program. In accreditation, and accreditation has been for many years part of AMSN, but then was established as a separate center only this year, 2020, as an independent institution. And with that law that separated accreditation from AMSN, somehow we can say that Mongolia has moved completely into this phase 2 type of QI development, where the quality infrastructure institutions have a very strong public support. And UNIDO for many years has worked with accreditation in relation to the membership also in ILAC, MRA, APLAC MRA especially, and AIF, the Accreditation Forum, MLA, and PAC. Mongolia is part of the WTO since 1997, and there have been already 2 trade policy reports, 1 free trade agreement, economic partnership agreement with Japan came into force in 2016, and 11 TB notifications were submitted already to WTO. So Mongolia is a very active and dynamic member, and also 3 notifications were made under Article 10.7 of the TBT agreement. In a nutshell, preparing for the future, we can see that standardization has a very long history of QI development in Mongolia. There is a very strong legal framework, but what is still pending is a consolidated quality policy that will involve not only the legal dimension, but how to make sure that there is strong demand for accreditation from the laboratories, from the enterprises, and that the consumers have stronger voice in the quality in the country. As far as UNIDO is concerned, UNIDO's work in Mongolia, we worked in certification in accreditation until 2013, supported by Korea. And we strengthened standards, metrology, and testing, and enhanced especially the capacities of selected laboratories in relation already to ISO 17025, ISO 17011, and obtained accreditation from COLAS for the accreditation system. We facilitated the signatories of RMAs with APLAC and ILAC. Today we have still a project that is about to be finalized, implementing support to employment creation in Mongolia. CESIM project, excellent project, is strengthening the competitiveness and sustainable economy by increasing employment opportunities, supporting the value chain of products such as meat, dairy, wool, cashmere, upgrading capacities in particular of packaging, very important, and labeling for export market, and raising awareness on food safety and international standard. So this project has also a standardization dimension. Into the future, we will continue certainly, and we are engaged in supporting the development of quality infrastructure in the country, especially to help Mongolia's productive sector to integrate in international trade at the level of the value chain of potential agricultural products. Align also this quality infrastructure more and more with international good practices, and as a starting point, a project entitled Strengthening Certification Services to Enhance Export Competitiveness of Small, Medium and agribusinesses will be implemented. The objectives of this project is SMEs in the non-mining sector will be supported, export capabilities will be strengthened to export markets, and capacity building in international certification related services. The outcomes, enhancement of the SMEs to have the capacity to in the field of internationally recognized certification, so a passport for the international market, and improvement of national conformity assessment services. Looking at the bigger picture, it is important to think that COVID effects will last for many years. Some of the potential mitigating measures in this area are the harmonization and acceptance of equivalence of standards among trade partners, adoption of new standards in quality infrastructure, awareness raising and capacity building on the importance of standards for trade and quality infrastructure of governance and value chain actors, as well as economic growth by building sound quality infrastructure. To finalize, some thoughts for the future, for the way forward, is first, the development of a quality policy for good governance of a quality infrastructure, which will provide a roadmap into the future, what are the roles and responsibilities, and would show how the quality infrastructure system could evolve. Quality infrastructure has to be much more focused along the value chain. I said the more specific you become, the more impact you can get in order to help the companies, to help the exports to reach the export markets, the global markets. And finally, to build trust among producers, value chain participants along the value chain, among all the stakeholders, among governments, among consumers, that we can have a very good system in place that will help our exports to be successful. And with that, I would like to finalize thanking for your attention. Thank you very much.
Who is the speakers? Mr. Batsukh, Director of Veterinary Hygiene and Assurance Department, General Authority for Veterinary Services. Well, I would like to welcome warmly all the participants of Export to 2020. So every challenge turns into the opportunity, as it said. So we are convening this forum online this year. So, and I think that this is a sign of the progress that we're making in terms of advanced technology. Now, the topic of my presentation today is the veterinary services system for professional assurances and traceability system in Mongolia. There was a legal reform conducted in the agricultural sector of Mongolia, so which was translated into the animal health law, which has been adopted by the Parliament of Mongolia on December the 8th of 2017. Now, so with adoption of this law, now we're able to comply with the quality standards, international quality standards. So the animal health law focuses on the following. First, on the role, it specifies the role of veterinary services. It is designed to protect animal health, to ensure domestic and international trade of live animal and products, to assure safe product of livestock to people's consumption, and to protect public health. So the total head of livestock in Mongolia is 70.9 million. So in total, about more than 300 veterinary professionals functioning in the country, and the almost half of that, 50% of that, the services provided by private veterinary institutions. Now, in terms of legislation environment for the veterinary services, so it is stated in the law that according to the Article 7 of Animal Health Law, all animals and animal products should have veterinary certificate when they cross border of SUMS and district territory. Now, so there is an internationally terrestrial animal health code of the World Organization for Animal Health. So, and therefore, according to this, the provision, the veterinary certificate is issued by private veterinarian and veterinary inspector of SUM district when animal and animal products meet health food safety requirements. So, there are certain procedures and rules that has been approved and enacted in this regard. So this is the general scheme of the veterinary certificate system procedure. Now, so this the model certification is being approved by the Ministry of Justice. Now, the veterinary certificate system functions as follows. So first, the herders at the herders level, livestock the census is conducted, and so which turns into identification of animals. So that the private veterinarians would go would go for field examination of the health condition of livestock. So then it is followed by examination and lab tests. So and based on the results of lab tests, the certificate is being issued, and some state veterinary unit or the veterinary inspector shall verify this certificate. That is done at the initial primary level. Now, so all the health and the live animal and the meat and other byproducts now have the right to cross the borders of certain zones and jurisdictions. Now, so there is a digital system of tracing of the mobility of these products, and the police, GASI, the other professional institutions participate in a digital veterinary certification control. So, and after that, that products would go to the processing stage, and which is followed by final products of products. And the final products, in its turn, would go to domestic and international markets. So this is the basically the circle of the certification. Now this is the model of the certification. So the national the data center. So we have the database. The final consumers would receive the certified veterinary certified of products. Now, so the certification turned into digital. So in order to be time efficient and to be accessible in a prompt manner by the consumers. Now, so that we can easily trace the route of the transportation of the product, and so for the origin, the place of origin, and the place of the final destination also could be traced. Now on this slide you can see this route. So for example, it's originated from Arhangay Aymak, and it's being certified and verified and inspected at every point of this route. And the final destination, reaching the final destination of Ulaanbaatar. So this system has been introduced since May the 1st of 2019. So as of current, more than 400 digital certificates have been issued. So all the veterinary inspectors can trace the status of the digital certification. So now you can see that the digital veterinary certificate system. So you can see that all the certificates are received, which are verified by barcodes, and the barcode will be every product, the meat product, will be labeled with this barcode, indicating the place of origin and the final destination place. Now you can see these are the meat products that sold through the retail system. Now this was the pilot project that we've launched back in 2019, and this was a very successful project. The next slide, you can see that with the smartphone application, every customer can verify the barcode and see get the very detailed information about the quality status of this product. So the reason why we're developing this system in the country is the livestock sector in Mongolia, especially live animal and animal byproducts, need to meet international standard requirements. So the 7.9 million head of livestock, the certain percentage of this animal need to turn into need to be monetized in the economy of Mongolia. So therefore, we need to be very much strict in terms of exercising a disease control of animals. So with these purposes, we have developed a disease control strategy. So, and we are striving to obtain the status of a healthy animal. So in order to have easy access to international market. This is a very sophisticated certification and verification system for the healthy status of the animal products. Now, so the slide talks about meat export during 2007 and 2018. So that is about being totally free from any of contagious animal diseases in order to be competitive in terms of meat international export. Now, so results and consequences of implementation of the veterinary of the standardization system. So that is about animal health and food safety assurances by professionals. So that is about ensuring the healthy food supply of the Mongolian population, and this is one of the best the tracing practices at the global level, especially this standard which meets every requirement of international coding system is very essential for us to ensure the best quality of the meat product. Now, so it is also the about movement control of animal and animal products, which restricts the illegal supply of the animal products. So that we have signed an MOU with the police in order to trace and exercise the control of the animal theft. And as a result of this cooperation, the cases of animal theft was declined by 30%. Now, also, thanks to this initiative, so we've been able to enjoy the environment as a precondition of the export of animal and animal products. Now, so the economic monetization of this head of livestock is a very good potential for the country to for additional cash earning. And this is a very clear and transparent system and a chain which shows that, transparently shows that the accountability and responsibility system in terms of ensuring the quality and standards are in place. So, and basically it's the win and win collaboration of the government, of herders and the final consumers. So the system will offer the benefits to all the stakeholders and produce very competitive results. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Batsukh. Now, so the meat, the products, its certification and the quality standards of very important significance for Mongolia. So about the traceability policy and innovative approaches that have been introduced in Mongolia, very interesting information provided by Mr. Batsukh. Next presentation is by Ms. Artoya, who is the auditor of Market LLC, who will talk about best practices on ensuring the quality of the meat products. Well, allow me to welcome you warmly, all the participants of our Expo Forum. Now, so I will talk about market best practices in terms of meeting international quality standards. Well, first of all, briefly about the market. The company has been established in 2001 since the very first days of operations. So we've been exporting our products. So this is the comprehensive processing of meat and meat products. So this is the now, since the first day of our operation, we've been striving to export the quality meat products. So with this view, we have introduced the international quality standards, HASP standards, ISO 22000 and FSS 22000. Also we've introduced the halal standard back in 2017. Now the market company meets international quality standards at every stage of our production. So for us to introduce it fully, it took 3 to 4 years for us to introduce those quality standards. Now we produce finished product, semi-finished products, and the raw meat. Also, we found operate the accredited meat laboratory. Now, so 4 or 5 years ago, we've been exporting primarily to the Russian Federation. But since recent years, we've started to export horse meat to People's Republic of China in small volumes, also to North Korea, to South Korea and Japan. We've make export the certain amount of the meat products to these markets, and a certain amount of meat products being exported to Western markets and to the Middle East countries, including Iran, which is becoming a very active buyer of Mongolian meat products. So Oman, United Arab Emirates, so the major buyer of halal meat. Now for Russia, for this year, according to this year export, the export volume has declined twice in compared with previous years. As of November of this year, the major export product was horse meat, and the 89% of the total export was made to People's Republic of China, and the small amount of lamb also has been exported to a number of countries. Now, so the major export the products for the recent 3 or 4 years is a horse meat. Also, beef export was not conducted during last 2 years. In terms of lamb export was the highest export, the export to the United Arab Emirates. So this was a halal product. So in terms of animal byproduct exportation, it accounts for very small amount, less than 1,000 tons per annum. Now, so the target market for us is the target animal is the lamb and goat. So the major market is the Southeast Asia and Islamic countries. Now, so about 410 million people reside in Islamic nations, including Qatar, Emirates, Saudi Arabia. So all these countries are interested in purchasing a meat product from Mongolia, and the demand for meat of these countries is increasing year by year. Now, so therefore, so we have see Middle East as one of the very potential and competitive buyer and consumer of Mongolian meat, including a halal process and classified meat. So we've continue exporting this type of products, and we use the air transportation and the cargo transportation through the territory of the Russian Federation. So we use a transit transportation to deliver halal processed meat. Now, what is important to bear in mind for Islamic countries? So we need to meet all the requirements, because this Islamic countries, given their religion, we need to be very much strict in terms of complying with technological processing standards. So in terms of the hygiene and sanitary requirements, these are very strict, and I think, to my opinion, this is a rather excessive requirement. So because we don't have the genetically of different pesticides and fertilizers to feed the animal. Now, in Mongolia, we consume about the animal 2 or 3 of an age group of 2 or 3, but in the Islamic world, in Islamic countries, they do not consume this type of meat of young animal. Now, so in terms of slaughtering, so there should be the certified and registered licensed slaughterhouses. There are 9 certified slaughterhouses. So the thermal processing also is another requirement, and there are a number of enterprises which run a thermal processing. Plus, the microbiological analysis and testing shall be also conducted as it is a must, and it's an essential provision in the bilateral agreement. Also, there are certain the quality requirements that is being inspected by the recipient country. Now, so with a view to improve the quality of our operations and to learn from the best experiences, we have conducted the following. So first, due to the loss of the temperature of nature of the product, so quite often we've observed the failure to meet certain requirements in terms of the developing a bacteria, etc. So therefore we have introduced the telegraph of tracing the program and telegraph system. Also, with the Swiss Development Agency and Veterinary Services, we have introduced tracing software, traceability software. So the Macha market company had participated in the piloting of this system. So all the products that is produced by a market company now have a very detailed information of the herder who produced this meat, and on the route and the transportation points that the meat product has gone through. Now, this is a very sophisticated and well developed system. Now, the Chinese these veterinary service counterparts visited Mongolia in 2019, and they have been introduced with Mongolian system, and they've been quite happy to see that the system of the traceability of in Mongolia meets all the standards, and it's very competitive. Now, so there are in total 39 exporters in Mongolia. Yet, although the statistics suggest that there are 39 exporters, but yet we need to also verify whether the enterprises meet quality standards. So there are 31 licensed industries, of which more than 50% are Chinese of the joint companies with the People's Republic of China. Now, so the 47% the domestic companies. Now, so looking at the custom declaration of 2019 and 2020, so we sell a kilo of horse meat at $2. This is an equivalent of 5,600 tugriks. Yet in the domestic market, we sell this product at around 5,600 tugriks. So this is very interesting story with export. Where is the residual amount, and who benefits and who gains from this residual? This is the very principal question that we need to answer. Now, the primary focus for us is to export meat, yet there is the animal byproducts which are another products for export. Now, so we see that there is a great potential for us to export byproducts. At current, it's the animal byproduct export is barely 0.5, less than 0.5% out of total export. So that is due that only 6% of all the meat being slaughtered according to industrial processes, and remaining 94% that is slaughtered routinely. Now the routine slaughtering of the animal shall be removed at the national level. So we need to hurry with removal of this, the routine slaughtering practices in order to make the animal byproduct export competitive. So now the export of animal intestine and byproducts shall be another subject of international treaties and agreements. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Ms. Ankhtoya. Now the system of the meat export of Mongolia and the legal requirements, both domestic and international. So this was the major message and information that we've gotten from this presentation. So thank you very much. Mr. Batushik, who represents Monid Buligar Company, he will talk on Ladder Working Group LWG standards. Good morning. I'm a Vice Director of the Mon Id Buligar company, and I'm going to talk on LWG of environmental standards on the basis of our own enterprise. So LWG stands for Ladder Working Group. So as of October 2020, the membership of LWG is shown on the slide. So the group comprises 67.1% of ladder processors. And so basically, then the rest of members who participate in the ladder processing. As of October 2020, this shows the percentage and the share of all the stakeholders in the ladder processing. Now, all over the world, 664 enterprises have gone through auditing in order to obtain LWG certification. So there are four of ranking level of ranking: gold, silver, bronze, and LWG. Now, so these are the types of processing. Now, the type of processing plants is as follows: raw hide, skin to tanned hide. So our enterprise is of the B type, and we're interested in rawhide skin to crust leather. In terms of protocol, LWG is updated frequently, regularly, and all over the world there are 11 accredited inspectors, mostly specialists of Italy, Spain, Turkey, and 11 auditors. Now, the auditing process as follows. Each protocol consists of 17 groups. So in each of 11 groups, each level shall be ranked, and each group shall be ranked not less than 65 or 75. So in other words, groups 11 and 12, so the groups that would show the environmental impact of the processing. Now, so in here, so there are secretaries which provide for automatic audit failure, so including for hiding information, purposely hiding information, etc. So, and this type of failure or this type of the breach of any rules will serve as the basis for automatic audit failure. Now, in terms of auditing process, as I said before, so the accredited auditor visits the enterprise for 2 working days and analyzes all the data information provided by us. And based on this evaluation and assessments, the auditors would come up with their ranking. Now on this slide, you can see that the energy consumption of the LWG certified and non-certified enterprises. Now, basically LWG provides an information about environmentally healthy practices of that particular enterprise. Now, so in order to be environmentally friendly, so we need to be energy friendly consumers. So there is a dimension. To process 1 square meter of leather, we need to calculate how much of energy we spend to process 1 square meter of leather, including heat, steam, power, etc. So in other words, how much of megajoule energy you spend in order to process 1 square meter of leather. So the pink color line represents the consumption of energy. So there was a 63 megajoule. So as a result of WG, that consumption went down to 43. Next slide is a reduction of water consumption. So again, this is the indicator of how much of water is spent to process 1 square meter of leather. So by obtaining the certificate, what are the benefits of this certificate? First of all, this certificate is widely recognized by world-famous brands, including processed leather products or finished leather products. So in other words, if you want to be competitive in terms of producing finished leather products, you need to obtain this certificate. So the fact that you have this certificate will display clearly that you are environmentally friendly producer. Of course, with the certificate, we will have a much better environmental performance. We'll have better, the commercial image, and we will have a better controlling system over the utilization of certain chemicals. And it will also impact on reduction of the job place risks and hazardous impact. Now, so our objective is to apply for LWG for Darhan, means cattle leather processing plant. So the project that was commissioned in January of 2019, and so the expected, the desired capacity is 16 tons of cow hides per day, so which means 800 to 1,000 pieces of cow hides per day. Now LWG certificates so now enables us to install full load drums with low energy and water consumption. Now, and also for sulfide solution, reusable 28 tons storage tank. So you can see the now, so you can see that the plant, the picture of a plant water treatment facility, and the capacity is up to 70% of the ladder load. So this is a complete automatic system was introduced in our plant, and there is a complete conveyor system. Now on this picture you can see the processing of cow hide. So the conventional technology provides for burning the hair from the hide and skin, and it produces pollution, air and soil pollution. So for us it is important to reduce the soil and air pollution. So in Darkhan city we apply the advanced technology to protect soil from over pollution. So this is a hair filter, a picture of a hair filter. And there is a Spanish Homogena company which provides us with the filter equipment to separate hair from cow hide. And this is very sophisticated processing, and this is the waste hair that needs to be environmentally friendly disposed. So also the wastewater cleaning system that has been introduced in the enterprise. There are two tubes, the pipelines that used using a sulfide methodology. So sulfide methodology provides for separation from the hazardous elements like hair and heavy metal substances. So each pipeline will operate two reusable tanks. Tanks in order to reserve the water for reuse of the gray water 5 to 7 times. So this is very environmentally and water friendly system. So it enables us to save water and to reduce an amount of waste. And it also enables us to save some chemicals which are really costly and which are imported from Europe. So the major factors that impact LWG is the environmental factors. It is gray, the wastewater. So in Darkhan, we have established a cleansing facility next to the factory with a capacity of 800 cubic meters of gray water of cleaning and processing. So it will start functioning starting January 1st of 2021. Now on LWG standards, there is a fourth chapter which provides for certain quality requirements. So I recall that they were the Indian experts who visited our enterprise, and thanks to the promotion policy to the herders. So we've been able to advance in terms of the quality of raw materials supplied by herders to our enterprise. Now, another advantage of the enterprise is depending on the climatic conditions of Mongolia. So now the processing of leather and hides has a very seasonal nature. So usually we process these of leather and hides during winter season, and almost 100% of the raw materials are frozen, and they are stored in a frozen condition. So we never use a salt to store to keep these raw materials. So whenever we excessively use salt for processing leather, it would negatively impact on the environmental condition and water condition as well. So in this regards, so we are advancing in terms of clean processing. But in terms of disadvantages, almost 43% of the power that we use was the power originated from the thermal power stations, from the heat. So, and there is no any possibility for us to save on the steam and heat and power. Well, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Batushik, for introducing on the best technology and best practices that you've introduced in your enterprise. Thank you.
Export Mongolia 2020 International Virtual Forum and Expo. All those who are interested in working with and investing into Mongolia. International Virtual Forum and Expo.
Now shifting to the discussion part of the session. I would like to introduce the panelists. Mr. Dondak Dorch, Director of the Light Industry Policy Implementation Coordination Department of the Ministry of Food, Agriculture and Light Industry. Mr. Dashmik Murjev, the Head of Export, Import and Border Quarantine Inspection Department of the General Agency for Specialized Inspection. Arun Bhatt, Executive Director of Mongolian Agricultural Commodity Exchange. And Ms. Altan Tuya, Customs Officer of the Customs Control and Enforcement Department of Mongolian Customs General Administration. Mr. Batushik, the Vice Director of the Monet Bulgar, and Ms. Akhtoya, Auditor of Market Company. Now we are to launch a panel discussion on current status, application, and opportunities for domestic quality management and quality standards and guarantee requirements for export to Asia, Americas, and the European Union. So I would like to address the question to Mr. Dondak Dorch. Now, could you please elaborate on the measures that are taken by the ministry to promote export in the area of food, agriculture, and light industry? Now, for Mongolia, when it comes to non-mining products, it accounts barely 10% of the total export. So for the majority of the livestock product, the majority share of the livestock product export goes to the unprocessed livestock raw products. So therefore, it is of primary importance for us to establish the competitive structure of processing industries in the country. The next challenging issue is to introduce a quality infrastructure in the country, which is of the major focus during recent years. So as we have discussed, the major buyers and consumers who are importing our products, they attach a high priority to the high quality of the meat, cashmere, wool, and etc. So this is very important for all for the entire industry, and in terms of introducing ISO and other internationally accepted standards. So for the food industry, we are also attaching high priority to developing clusters, and we have launched a number of the bilateral cooperation in the area of the cluster development in the food industry. So all these interventions of the coordinated in terms of interdependence and interlinkage with the quality standards. Now, the major channel of export is agricultural exchange, commodity exchange. Now, so how do we go about the quality assurances at the local level in terms of agricultural commodity exchange? So the rule IMAX, what kind of system they have to ensure the quality of agricultural products. Now, in terms of quality systems, so all the agricultural products were delivered from SUM level, but with the agricultural commodity exchange in place, so we've totally lost the system of the quality assurance. Now, so the number of programs and plans that projects have been developed to introduce the quality assurance system. So, for example, in 309 SUMs, we've launched a pilot project to monitor the quality of processing of the livestock products. So, for example, for the hair and wool cutting for sheep, we are introducing an automatic hair cutting practices. So, in order to have the quality leather and hide, which is totally free of any bruise caused by improper cutting practices. Now, so this is very important to introduce this quality processing standards at the very root level, at the level of soup processing. Thank you. Now, in relation to this question, I would like to address this question to Mr. Batushik. So the animal products, so the improper technological processes cause certain damages of the quality of leather, skin, etc. Now, so the question, to what extent we meet international quality standards in terms of leather and hide processing? Well, indeed, the primary of care is very essential. For us to process leather and skin, we apply the best possible technology and best possible practices. Now, the most important factor that affects this processing is the raw material of procurement and processing. So now the standard and quality procurement and quality of transportation is essential element of all the process. Now also the cutting of damages. The damage is quite popular in the case of the cattle leather, the yak leather. Now, it is very difficult for us whenever any bruise and cutting of the damages occurred to remove this and to recover this damages. It is very difficult. So quite often we realize that there are some holes on the skin. So, and we call this type of damaged skin as reject skin and leather. So, and quite often this damaged raw leather would cause a lot of loss. Now, so we have certain statistical numbers in terms of damages incurred to the yak leather as a result of improper processing. So almost 10 to 15% of yak leather turn into reject leather because of improper processing. So this reject leather, it is impossible to recover all the damages of reject leather. So we just have to throw it away and or just use this leather for production of small items. I am a leather processing engineer, so the Mongolian leather raw materials of best quality to produce the best quality shoes, boots, and leather products. But whenever it comes to improper processing or cutting, tailoring, so quite often we see that some damages incurred during the process of cutting and tailoring, which requires the additional processing. So in case of sheep and goat skin, we also have some bruises of insects and parasites. So all these factors damage competitive capacity of the industry. Now, due to the failure to comply with technological regime, we incur for substantial losses. This is what you want to say. Now, so I'd like to raise a question to veterinary service people. Now, veterinary services. So what is the role of veterinary services during the process of export and import? Now, so the question, do we meet international standards in of providing veterinary services? Yeah, I've already mentioned in my presentation that veterinary services operate at every stage and provide its professional certification at every stage of the processing chain. Now, so also for the raw materials, we provide the quality assurance and guarantee. So all these elements are well stipulated in the laws. Now, the question was about the international export and import in foreign trade. Now, if we look at the international practices, the veterinary services, they provide the certificate and they provide a guarantee of the high quality the quality status of that product. And since 2 years ago, we started to issue the international quality certificates. Now there is a World Organization for Animal Health and WTO. These two international organizations have the mandatory right to issue the quality certificate to veterinary services. Now, should we meet all the standards required by these two international organizations, we'll be able to participate successfully in international trade. There are certain mechanical damages incurred, and there are certain damages incurred by parasites and by certain type of insects. So that damages could be avoided if we'll follow with the international standards from the very root level, from the very beginning of the processing. And in 2011, so we have ruled out the cattle of the infectious disease. Now we are striving to also remove and rule out another 6 types of animal diseases. And should we succeed in fighting this type of animal diseases, we'll be able to meet the international veterinary quality standards. Now, so we have a resident representative of the World Veterinary Organization. So there is the now, and this person and this profession leads to the process of improving and streamlining the traceability system in the country. And last year we had the experts from this international organization and made an assessment of the capability of the Mongolian veterinary services, and they've noted that there was an impressive progress in developing a traceability system in the country. Now it is for us, we need to disseminate this information and to promote these practices at the nationwide level. Now, so since we issue a certificate, so we need to be very accurate and very professional and independent and show our technical professionalism when we issue the certification, especially international certification. Thank you. So Dr. Bernardo mentioned in his presentation that for any society, for any economy, it is important to develop the quality infrastructure. So, and there are 3 elements that compose the system. And for Mongolia, the accreditation system with for joining Mongolia at a number of international organizations, like so the technical measurement and technical monitoring. So we are part of the mutual recognition arrangement. Now, so export products and not, so we are So there is an international agreement to remove non-tariff barriers. And the conclusion was made by international experts that Mongolia is yet to benefit from this provision. So I would like to address this question to Mahmud Company. Now, through a Mongolian accreditation in 97 countries, do we have a system of reciprocal acceptance of the laboratory testing results? So in the case of meat export, if not, what needs to be done in order to mutually accept the results? Thank you. Now, Iran, Russian Federation, People's Republic of China, for these countries, the countries where we export meat, no. So we test all the products through the centralized veterinary laboratory. However, although we have the clear test results, the importing countries, they have own system of laboratory testing. So you've mentioned the non-tariff, the barriers, which is quite a reality. So, well, for us, it takes minimum 5 to 7 days at the border, so up to maximum 30 days to wait for the recipient country laboratory test results. So, well, for during this all this time, so the quality of the meat products, of course, would degrade, and so on the other hand, the environment, the methodology of processing of meat in Mongolia is fairly new. So in recent 4 or 5 years, so we've been very actively modernizing all these enterprises and slaughterhouses. So of course, all the importing countries have their right to go for own laboratory testing. Now, so yet they are keen to accept our laboratory test results, and each year they would visit Mongolia to witness and to verify the quality of the laboratory testing results. Yet we have yet to meet their requirements. Now, so we've implemented a project to improve the quality of the meat processing factories, so to improve the technical equipment capacity, to improve the skills and professional capacity of the employees. Now, so thanks to this modernization and training, we've been able to reduce the percentage of damages by 95%. Now, so the policy for us to improve the skills and professionalism of the employees of slaughterhouses, so that they would have the very competitive techniques and technology of slaughtering. So we are going to receive a question from the audience. Now, so we are convening this forum in the environment of COVID-19 pandemic. So we are convening this forum online. So I would like to ask whether the participants, online participants, would like to raise any questions to the panelists. Now, I don't think that I was able to hear the last comment. So Mr. Dash Migmercham from the Border Quarantine Services with us. So my question, to allow now with standardization requirements in place, so we need to acquire import and export certificate. Now, so I'm asking about the monitoring of the practices that you exercise in your institution. Now, so this about the question was about the certificate, compliance certificate. The border GASI handles vegetation and livestock products inspection, border inspection. Now for import and export products, we issue the export and import declaration based on the original documentation and papers, and the certification is to be issued within 24 hours since the date of time of application. Now we allow the goods and products to pass through the border based on the results of the laboratory testing. Now, and we allow these goods and the products to trespass the border of Mongolia based on the sanitary and hygiene requirements imposed. So we are ready to answer the questions if you, the audience would come up with any questions. While we are waiting for the next question, I would like to raise kind of general question. As of current, we have more than 6,500 standards in Mongolia, so 40% of which are of international and regional standards. Now, so we have the objective to increase the number of the international and regional standards in the domestic procedures. So I would like to know the opinion of the private sector, what needs to be done in order to introduce international and regional standards. Now, in order to ensure the food security, so we've introduced more than 210 of standards, the procedures, rules. Now, so whenever we apply and comply with domestic standards, quite often some of the standards would contradict with the international standards. Now, so for the enterprises which introduce international standards, so they don't envisage any problems in complying with domestic standards. Now for standards, so with the variety of raw materials, with the different technologies in place, so what we need to do is we need to revise all the standards which are rather obsolete, which were introduced during 1990s. So therefore the professional associations need to revise all the standards and update the standards. Now, so we need to rely on the cooperation of professional associations in modifying and updating standards. The customs officer of Tantuya is with us. Now, the customs administration performs a number of functions with respect of export, including monitoring of export and import operations. Now, so all the relevant legislations in Mongolia. So my question is, so are there any procedures and rules or laws that need to be revised and amended or updated in order to improve the process of inspection, customs inspection? Good evening. For customs administration, what is important is the trade promotional agreements. Now, so there is a clear need for us to amend and modify the customs law of Mongolia. So if the trade facilitation, we need to introduce certain elements of a trade facilitation agreement into the customs legislation, especially so when it comes to accreditation of the legal entities. So when now, so for authorized economic operators, so we have already joined this initiative. So therefore, we need to improve the system of accreditation of companies. So yes, we have already drafted this relevant legislation, and we have received recommendations and comments from the Minister of Justice in the amendments to the law. Secondly, for the agricultural commodity exchange, now there are a number of issues that there's a subject of dispute between the customs administration and agricultural commodity exchange. So the customs administration does not inspect the quality aspect of the products and goods. This is the mandate and function of the GASI. So yet we have introduced a digital registration for the mining products. And digital for the declaration system is being introduced for the mining products. And now, so we are aiming to introduce a digital declaration system for all the legal entities, so that all the documents will be processed digitally. So all the scanned copies of the original documents will be processed digitally, and the customs declaration will be processed digitally. Now, so 75% of the export declaration has been already digitalized, and this initiative and the measure will be continued furthermore. Next question. So, is there any other questions online? While we're waiting, allow me to raise a question to Mr. Donderdorj. From 2016 to 2020, we've implemented a national quality program which expires in 2020 in current year. So as of current, my question is, are we going to continue implementing this project? So if yes, what's the justification for that? So, well, this is being discussed at the cabinet level. Now, the National Quality Council led by the Deputy Prime Minister comprises of the state secretaries and the vice ministers of the line ministries. Now, so the idea is that the national quality program is rather of wide scope. So therefore, they say that we need to be very much specific in terms of the areas for improvement in order to cope with the international standards. So what do you think in this regard? Well, exactly. I think that we need to be very specific in terms of the certain products that is a subject of the quality improvement. Now, so this is a Handschrift mark that displays the quality of the product. Now, so this is in Kashmir industry. So the purpose of introducing this mark is to improve the export capacity of Mongolia. So this is a Handschrift branding brand. Now the quality assurance functions have been delegated to the non-government organization, so that there's the quality assurance branding this mark will be vitally promoted. Promoted in agricultural sector, including Kashmir meat. And so this is for certain projects and products and for certain markets to deliver these products. Thank you. Any other comments? Now, in the infrastructure, quality infrastructure, so there is a great role of placed to the quality laboratories, laboratory tests. Now, the question is, now for the laboratory tests for export products, do we have a sufficient of the testing laboratory equipment and tools? Now, I think that the veterinary services will have their own say. So there is one aspect, of course, the capacity of laboratory capacities are improving and the methodologies are becoming more sophisticated. When we make export to Russia, Russian Federation requires us to go for dioxin of testing, but in Mongolia and any laboratories in Mongolia. So the existing capacity does not allow us to go for dioxin testing. So the issue is for us to improve our capacity up to the international level. Now, at the national level, there is a centralized laboratory of agricultural product laboratory. So all the laboratories functioning in Mongolia operate as a network, and the head laboratory is the national centralized laboratory. So we have branches of the laboratories at the EMAC and SUM level. In terms of capacity of the centralized laboratory, so the testing, say the animal disease of testing, so the methodology tools of widely accepted. Now, the central laboratory of the sanitation and hygiene. Now, in terms of the capacity, testing capacity, so it is up to the international level. So for all the tests that run by the Mongolian head laboratories are being verified by the world leading laboratories. So all the results produced by the Mongolian laboratory, the head laboratory, match the results of the leading international laboratories. And also, there is the cooperation center, which provides for the partnership and cooperation between the laboratories. So the centralized laboratory is a member of ILAC, so which provides for the test results produced by these laboratories accepted by more than 90 laboratories across the world. So I think that we need to utilize this channel and avenue to as much as possible. Thank you. Question to the agricultural commodity exchange. Now, there is the fee imposed on the washed cashmere and wool. Who identifies the size of this fee, amount of the fee? Now, the executive director of fixes the amount of fee, and the amount of fee being agreed by the board members. Thank you. With that, we have our time is over, and I would like to extend my deep gratitude to all the speakers, to all the panelists, and to all the participants, online participants, for your very active participation. So one of the primary objectives of the government of Mongolia is to promote export-oriented industries. So with this view, also the private and public partnership is very essential to promote the export industries. And when I would like, in this sense, I would like to call upon for very coordinated and coherent cooperation, and our doors are open for all the stakeholders. Thank you very much.